Business confidence in this country through the floor.
Yeah.
You can't get businesses from across the globe to invest here because he's killing them. That business just isn't going to work when you've got a government that's in there determined. Every Labour government in history leaves office with unemployment. This government are refusing to match that. Scary times ahead. More bull poop from Keir Starmer.
£642 million. That's the staggering loss Poundland just reported. But how did a shop where everything costs a quid end up in such dire straits?
The answer might surprise you. It's not just about inflation or online shopping. No, the finger is being pointed at Labour's Rachel Reeves and her budget. But how exactly did political decisions lead to empty shelves and potential job losses? Let's find out.
Before we move on, I'd like to ask you a small favor. If you appreciate this content, please take a second to like this video and subscribe to the channel. Over 98% of you watch the videos without subscribing. It costs you nothing, but it makes a huge difference to us. So, did you click the subscribe button? Great. Thank you so much. Now, back to the video. Meet Sarah, a Poundland manager who's been with the company for 15 years. Her store used to be the heart of the local high street, buzzing with shoppers looking for bargains. Pensioners, students, and families all flocked to Sarah's store, knowing they could stretch their pounds further. But those bustling days are now just a memory. Today, Sarah stares at empty aisles and dwindling stock. Sales have nosedived, and the corporate office is breathing down her neck, demanding cuts. It's a far cry from the thriving business she once ran. So what's behind this dramatic reversal of fortune?
Business confidence in this country through the floor.
Yeah.
You can't get businesses from across the globe to invest here because he's killing them. No, it just lacks common sense. It's ridiculous, and it's another broken promise.
Poundland's $642 million loss didn't happen overnight. It's the result of a perfect storm of economic factors, with Rachel Reeves' budget playing a significant role. The Labour Shadow Chancellor's policies, while aimed at helping workers, have had unintended consequences for businesses like Poundland. Take the minimum wage increase, for instance. On paper, it sounds great for employees, but for a company that operates on razor-thin margins, it's been a killer. Sarah's wage bill has skyrocketed, eating into already slim profits. Add to that the increased business rates and higher energy costs, and you've got a recipe for financial disaster. But it's not just about increased costs. Reeves' budget has also hit Poundland's customer base hard. With inflation outpacing wage growth, shoppers have less disposable income. Even the promise of pound store bargains isn't enough to lure them in anymore.
Whilst he's out there, he's making business in the UK more unattractive than it's ever been. We've seen this government are refusing to match that. Scary times ahead. More bull poop from Keir Starmer.
As Sarah walks through her store, she can't help but wonder, will she have to lay off the staff she's worked alongside for years? These aren't just employees, they're friends, part of the Poundland family. The thought of having to let them go keeps her up at night. In a desperate bid to keep the store afloat, Sarah's implemented every cost-cutting measure she can think of. Reduced opening hours, streamlined inventory, even cutting back on the store's heating. But it's like trying to plug a dam with a finger. The flood of financial pressures just keeps coming. And here's the kicker, Sarah's store isn't an isolated case. This crisis is playing out in Poundland branches across the country. From bustling city centers to small market towns, the story's the same. A once thriving British institution is now fighting for survival, leaving us to wonder, is this the beginning of the end for the Great British Pound Store? The phrase, "the road to hell is paved with good intentions," has never rung truer than in the case of Labour's economic policies. What happens when well-meaning reforms clash head-on with the harsh realities of running a business in Britain today?
Are driving businesses out of business. We've seen it. People won't invest here. Well, it's about what it costs the people at home who are struggling to make ends meet. All the, net zero at any cost is a ridiculous prospect.
Labour's economic strategy was born from a noble goal to improve the lives of workers across the UK. The idea was simple: raise wages, standardize pay structures, and create a more equitable economic landscape. On paper, it sounds like a dream come true for the average British worker, but as Poundland's crisis shows, the reality is far more complicated. Take the national minimum wage increase, for instance. Labour championed this as a way to ensure workers could afford a decent standard of living, but according to Robert Salter, director at Blick Rothenberg, this represents a staggering 37% rise since 2020-21. For For businesses operating on thin margins, like Poundland, this sudden spike in labor costs is nothing short of catastrophic. The plan to create a single adult wage rate across the UK is another example of Labour's good intentions potentially backfiring. In theory, it would simplify payroll and ensure fair compensation regardless of location. But for retailers with stores in both high-cost urban centers and struggling rural areas, this one-size-fits-all approach could spell disaster. So, is there a way for both workers and businesses to come out on top?
All of these businesses now looking to reduce their headcounts, stop recruitment. Big news on that this weekend. We saw the big news from Angela Rayner about planning. They're literally going to bypass local councils, bypass the opinions of local people. That business just isn't going to work when you've got a government that's in there determined. Every Labour government in history leaves office with unemployment.
The uncomfortable truth is that there's no easy answer. The balancing act between social welfare and business viability is a complex dance, and right now, it seems Labour's policies have caused both partners to stumble. The unintended consequences of these reforms are rippling through the retail sector. Poundland's $642 million loss isn't just a number on a balance sheet. It represents potential job losses, closed stores, and communities losing a vital resource. And if a retail giant like Poundland is struggling, what hope do smaller, independent businesses have? As we look at the broader implications for British retail, we're left with more questions than answers. Can the high street survive this perfect storm of rising costs and changing consumer habits? Will Labour's policies ultimately create more unemployment as businesses struggle to cope? And perhaps most importantly, how can we create an economic system that truly works for everyone, from the shop floor worker to the CEO? The Poundland crisis serves as a stark reminder that in economics, as in life, the road to hell is indeed paved with good intentions. As we grapple with these complex issues, one thing is clear: the future of British retail hangs in the balance, and the decisions made today will shape our high streets for generations to come. Poundland's $642 million loss isn't just a number, it's a wake-up call. We've seen how Labour's well-intentioned policies have collided with the harsh realities of running a budget retailer. From soaring wage bills to dwindling customer spending, Poundland's crisis is a perfect storm of economic pressures. But what does this mean for the future of British retail? Can our high streets survive in a world where even pound shops struggle to turn a profit? And how do we balance the needs of workers with the viability of businesses? These aren't just academic questions, they affect real people like Sarah, her staff, and countless others across the UK. As Stefan Borchert, Pepco Group's chief executive, put it, they're taking swift action to get Poundland performance back on track. But will it be enough? The Poundland saga shows us that political decisions have real-world consequences, often in ways we don't expect. It's a reminder that we need to look beyond catchy slogans and examine the complex interplay between policy and reality. As voters and consumers, it's up to us to stay informed and consider these issues carefully. After all, the future of British retail and the livelihoods of many may depend on it.